Hello, everyone. I am Daniela Garcia, and welcome again to another edition of Encora Talks. Today, we will be talking about gamification, road to engaging user experience. Amit Marate is our speaker for today. Amit has over 14 years of experience in design. During that, he played multiple roles, including product designer, leader, and evangelist at different stages of his career. Currently, he works closely with senior team members to enhance Encora's UX practice by contributing to areas such as UX business, UX operations, and US skill sets. Additionally, he contributes to Encora's growth by preparing the next level of leadership. Hello, Amit. We're thrilled to have you here. Welcome to Encora Talks.
Thanks, Daniela, for my quick introduction. Hi, everyone. Let's get started with today's talk on gamification. Today I'm going to cover basics of gamification. I'll just start introduction with UX. What is UX? What is gamification? I'm also going to cover what is gamification and what is not, why we use gamification, and later part I'm going to cover a few case studies followed by a question and answer session. So without wasting time, let's get started with. So when we talk about user experience, UX is all about designing intended experience for real users, which is very, very important. But do we ask whether these users want to use these products and services in the first place? Is the intended experience motivating and engaging to the user? So gamification is nothing but it is all about creating an engaging and motivating experience for intended users or real users which they are going to use this application. So let's see um, about gamification in game mechanics. So there is a common misconception in our mind about gamification and game mechanics. So most of the people treat gamification as a game mechanics. But if you see, whenever we come across any application which uses gamification technique, you'll see badges, levels, leaderboards, progress bar. So these are like common elements which are used in most of the application which we use. But gamification is not restricted to these elements, but it is like beyond the mechanics of the gamification. So there are a few elements like characters or avatar, we called it. So these are like very important elements which creates a immersive element or immersive journey when we go through the entire experience of a gamification. Similarly, there are some rules or guidelines which will drive this entire engagement. And of course, for any experience we feel or we go through, there are some goals which we are looking forward for. So that will be covered as a part of a gamification. And of course, mechanics is a part of it. But the most important part in this gamification is the underlying principle, which is the narration of the story. How we tell the story about the entire experience, how we take users through the entire journey. So narration is very, very important, especially when we talk about gamification, which drives the entire experience and which will create delightful journey for the users who are going to use this application. So let's see how we see gamification in daily life. So most of us are using Apple Watch or activity ring on day-to-day basis. So these activity rings are nothing but more for gamified experience where most of us are setting goals for our fitness. We see what are the goals which are achieved, what are the goals which are pending, and we see gamified or more of an engaging or animated experience whenever we use Apple Health app, and that's how we get immersed into like more of a gamified experience. There are a few animations like rewards which can be shown with good animation, which creates this entire journey of a fitness more delightful. So this is like a more common example which we use. So the next question which comes into mind, why we use gamification? So the first reason why we use gamification is enhancing user experience or enhancing user engagement. So again, let's take example of Apple Watch, where there is a health app, and we use breathing feature on this app. So breathing app is nothing but it's like a more of an animated feature which imitates breathing experience and in sync with the actual breathing, making it more immersive. So this is the kind of a engaging experience it creates. So engagement is very important factor in the gamification, which hooks or which tend to bring users into actual game. Similarly, the other factor in gamification is motivating desired behavior. So whenever you use any, or whenever we use any app like a stand up or any activity app, these features on the Apple Health always reminds you to take necessary steps. Like for example, in case of stand up activity, it always reminds you in the form of animated, I can say, experience, which motivates you to take desired action, and that's how you are going to achieve the goal. So basically, motivation is another factor which is part of a gamification, which triggers the good experience part. Of course, while using this app, like breathing features, or you can say stand-up app, user tries to get into like more of an engaging experience. He tries to see what is his goals, which he has done in the past. He try to compare with the goals which he has achieved, and that's how he hooks into the entire engagement. That's why very important thing is like creating a business outcome. So by using similar kind of experience, user also look for similar environment which will delight him. So he seeks for similar kind of experience. So in case of Apple Health, if the user is using similar kind of app, he will be also looking for similar app in Apple ecosystem. For example, in case of Apple TV, he'll look for similar experience, and that's how Apple or any business owner tries to create a hook to generate a business outcome, especially in the form of Apple TV, which is like a more of a paid app which user is going to use. So these are like some of the important factors which are influencing gamification, and that's how we use gamification, and that's why we use gamification. So moving on to the next slide, let's see where can we apply gamification. So gamification can be used as an effective tool in numerous areas such as consumer application, wellness applications, trainings, etc. So let me share my journey, how I went about exploring the gamification area, what are the things which I explored, and so on. So let's take my first experience in the form of case study. So recently we solved interesting problem of a user engagement and retention. So one of our client, which has an app of, which will help users to make money by posting and watching videos. So basically, this app was all about creating videos. So user is to create videos, they is to post videos, and there is option to play games, and all these through all these activities, they are going to earn the money. So that is like a entire experience which our client thought of. But the biggest hurdle in this entire experience was user engagement and retention. And if you see, this app has 8.7 million user base with 40 to 50,000 daily users, but they were not able to retain these users. So most of the users who are using this application, they used to stay on this app just for 5 minutes 57 seconds. It was like very less duration, and they used to drop off. So most of the folks who used to drop off within a 1 day after installing the application. So this was like a biggest hurdle or a challenge which this customer was facing. So we took this as a challenge, and we went ahead exploring. So what is the typical challenges which user faces? Why? What is the reason why they are dropping off, and so on. So through that curiosity, we started exploring, or we started understanding the users. So we saw that the user who are using this application. So let me just go to the next slide. Okay. So we saw the users who were using this application, they were from like small families or families of a small income group who wanted to earn extra money and wanted to spend their money for some recreational activities. So these were typically Gen Z people who are like more tech savvy and socially active. So they wanted to be always in the limelight and wanted to be stand out in a community of small community of friends, sharing small achievements, which makes them feel proud. So this is the kind of a overall profile which we came across. We went ahead and started understanding more details about these users. So basically, as we know that our focus was on to engage and retain these users, we started analyzing how we can create first experience of using this app more inviting. So we created small engagement session. Can we create some small engaging session? Can we create some competitive environment instead of making boring environment? Can we create more engaging activities? So these were like kind of exploration we thought of. So this is like a more of a thought process which went beyond designing this app. We also went to the next level, understanding can we do some kind of a personalization which will bring them back. Uh, and the most important factor in this entire app was earn to earn money. So this is like an important feature which was not uh, not getting um, uh, attention what we can. And there was a big challenge user were facing withdrawing money or getting transparency about how much balance they have earned or how much balance they can withdraw. So we created we thought of some features which will help them to quickly understand how they can see the balance, how they can easily withdraw money. And of course there are some features we thought of like how they can play game with others, how they can be socially connected with other friends, which typically these people will be motivated of. Again, we also try to introduce a gamification experience, especially like spinning wheel or small activities, which will help them to create a more engaging experience. We also introduce happy hours or similar kind of approaches, which will help them to uh, get better engagement. And of course, there are other activities we also thought of. So this is like kind of a process we followed just to evaluate or to make this entire journey delightful for the user. We also started visualizing journey to demonstrate value. So these were like user journeys which we created. So if you see, there were like two user journeys. One is the existing user journey, and one is more of a proposed journey which we came up with. So especially if you take example of a withdrawing experience. So earlier withdrawing experience or money withdrawal experience was not that great. So we propose different features which will make this entire experience delightful. And that's how it can be shown here. It's like the curve is getting up and showcasing how the entire journey for the user will be. And the final result which we achieved was delightful. So we really cracked the problem of user engagement and retention. And once we designed this app, we tested this app with the users, and the kind of results were like really fascinating. Especially the kind of a user engagement was moved from 5 minutes 57 seconds to 20 minutes. That is the average user engagement which we got. And of course the drop off rate for this application also remarkably reduced to only 2 users, which was earlier 7 users. So this is the kind of entire journey which we had for this experience, and the results were fascinating. So let's see uh, what are the learnings which we had in this entire experience. So The biggest learning here is understanding user psychology, which is very important factor for any gamification process. So whenever we design any application for millennials, gamification is the key for engaging experience. So that is a kind of a conclusion which we can draw through this entire case study. So let's take another case study where we'll go to another area which is very important, which is like part of our life. So the another case study which I'm going to talk about is about mental well-being. So let's see how gamification plays important role in social issues such as mental health. So based on the discussion with one of our client, we identified the problem of a huge mental well-being crisis, especially in twins, teens, and youngsters in US. So this is a kind of a brief which was given by the user, and there is a good opportunity to work in this wellness space. So when we went into deep to understand what is the kind of challenges which most of the teens and twins and youngsters are facing. So basically, these people they really spend very less time with their parents. So parents are not able to spend quality time because of their busy schedule. Uh, of course, there is a lack of access to the mental health and health treatment. The cost of health treatment is very high and very less facilities, especially in US, to cover this medical insurance. And also ratio of therapist to individual is also very less. And most important or critical issue in this area is waiting time. So on an average, there is a waiting time of 8 to 9 months for the individuals to undergo treatment. So which is huge waiting time. And especially in case of mental well-being, if the waiting time increases, it may lead to adverse effects such as people may tend to take extreme actions like suicide, more firing, and so on. So it has like a lot of critical, I can say, results if it is not treated well. So taking this as a challenging part, we went ahead, started exploring to understand more about who are these people. So basically, if you see the kind of users in this group, these are like teenagers, twins, and youngsters. They have a lot of energy, but their energy is not getting streamlined, so because of their loneliness, and they are looking for companion who can help them to come out of this loneliness crisis. They're looking for somebody who can help them to understand their feelings, and with whom they can share their feelings, and so on. So they are missing the companion, and this is the exactly problem which we identified. So basically identifying the companion who will help them to solve their mental crisis and overcome this issue. So basically, when we started this journey, we started talking to these children's, twins, teens, and youngsters, understanding what motivates them. So basically, they really like to get involved in quest or more of expeditions or missions where they would like to explore, take up challenge, and achieve their goals. So this is a kind of a typical motivation they have. On the other hand, we also started discussing these challenges with therapists who are treating these children. So based on the discussion with them, they come up with the approach of game-based learning, because every teen twin likes to play games. So game-based approach is the right approach for what they felt, where they can create a more engaging experience or a journey with some kind of a milestone. So milestone is nothing but the kind of emotions which every child come across, and they will learn how to overcome these emotion in the form of small activities. And what we call activities as spark. So basically each milestone will have some emotional feelings and how to overcome that. So they will learn through this park activity. And of course there are some members, what we call as a crew members in the game, or a companion, what I spoke about. So these are like members in this game which they are seeking help from, or they are going to take help. uh, and these crew members are going to guide these children's to overcome basically the loneliness or a kind of a emotional crisis. So that this is how we design the entire experience of a game-based learning with journeys and therapeutic kind of approach. And the outcome was really good, where almost after launching this app, after almost 5 months, we saw the good traction here, and more than 6,000 accounts were created uh, with this application. And the results were fascinating, and lot of traction which we saw: 22,000 spark wheels, and a lot of activity which we saw after launching this app. So this is the kind of experience which we got when we went through this entire journey. So when we conclude this, so gamification, as we see, gamification can be used as an effective tool if we leverage capabilities for betterment of society. So this is a very good tool which can treat challenging social problems such as mental well-being. Let's move on to another case study where we explore different area altogether of metaverse, where we see the kind of a value which we bring onto the table in the form of gamification. So gamification in trainees. So this is the kind of case studies I'm going to talk about. So let's go. Let's get into this case study. So most of us, those who face the challenge of COVID-19, most of us have faced challenge of online trainings, recruitment, and everybody's faced the challenge of working from home. So the important or interesting insight which we got through this overall COVID-19 I kind of pandemic is 54% of the new hires are highly productive with gamified training. So this is the kind of interesting insights, because everything used to happen through online. But the interesting part which we got is high productivity we saw during this period through the gamified training. So this is the kind of interesting insight which we took, and we went ahead how we can use this gamified experience, especially in the form of training. So especially when we talk about tools like virtual reality, created new avenues not only in the learnings but beyond our imagination. So if you see the Vision Pro or such kind of Oculus or a device which is really creating a good example, especially in creating motivating experience in virtual and augmented reality space. So such kind of virtual experiences are really trending, and we thought let's take advantage of such kind of a technology for creating a training experience which will be really motivating and engaging for the users. So let's see how we created a metaverse experience using cybersecurity training. So we took example of cybersecurity training, and we started exploring how we can create more engaging experience using metaverse. So I'm going to quickly demonstrate one video. This is a kind of a recorded video I have, where we created gamified experience for the user who is going to go through this training. So this training is all about cyber security, where he'll face the challenge and how he overcomes that challenge. And this is the entire experience is created in metaverse. So mostly while going through this training, we need to use some kind of a VR device. So that is like a recommended device, but that can be also replicated using browser-based application. So the ideal experience will look on VR device. I'll quickly walk walk you through the kind of experience which we had. So I'll quickly play the video. So this is the video where user will go through the entire, I can say, onboarding experience. He explores uh, the journey. So basically, this is the guided tour how he navigates to the um, uh, basically how he faces the challenges, and then he gets alert message. He moves to the IT department and a server room. He communicates with IT person about the kind of cyber security attack. He starts scanning the activity and disconnects systems from outside network. He goes to imaging room, and then he disconnects the machine, find the malicious codes, and removes them. So this is the kind of a gamified experience which I created, and of course he restores the backup. So this is the entire experience created using Metaverse just to showcase this experience. So let me go through the next slide. Okay. So if you conclude this metaverse experience, so if you see almost one third of the population or population which is part of a global workforce, they are millennials, and most of the millennials use gamification, or gamification is very popular in this circles. So future of gamification is very bright, especially in the kind of online trainings. So that's what we observed here. So, what is the future of gamification? So that is the next thing which we are going to look about. So, of course, we have seen multiple use cases or case studies in which we went through different challenges, we faced different challenges, and how we overcome these challenges by applying gamification experience. So if you see, gamification is getting applied to every industry, not only retail, but it is applied in finance, and then healthcare, and everywhere. And it is expected to grow by almost 30%. So it has a huge potential, especially in all areas. Uh, so it has a bright future, what we can see here. Um, the last part which I'm going to talk about is like a takeaways. So we saw uh, how we add another aspect to the design in the form of gamification, creating engaging and motivating experience. We also saw what is gamification and why we use gamification. In case studies, we saw how we applied gamification in projects where we improved engagement and retention for money making app, created app for mental well-being for teens and tweens. Towards last part of the presentation, we saw how gamification is expanding boundaries to VR, AR, and metaverse with cybersecurity training as a case study. So in future of gamification, we also saw how gamification is taking precedence in every field, with almost one third of a marketplace it is taking nowadays. Yeah, that's it from my side. Open to question and answers.
Thank you so much, Amit, for all the information you have provided us. We are now ready to start with our Q&A section, as you just mentioned. And the first question I have for you is, what is the difference between the game design and gamification?
So, game design and gamification, they are like more relative terms. But game design is purely meant for a fun and enjoyment, whereas gamification is a technique which is used for, especially to achieve business objective, and not necessarily for fun and enjoyment. That's what I can say.
Thank you, Amit. The second question is, how we decide which app is best candidate for gamification?
So it is purely based on the kind of business goals which we want to achieve. Especially, business goal is one objective or one factor, and another factor is like who are going to use this entire application. So these are like very important factors. So, for example, if you are considering the existing app where we face a challenge of user engagement and retention, so that is the business challenge which they are facing. But on the other hand, user were not able to getting traction of engagement and retention. So both aspects are very, very important. So based on the kind of a business challenge which we face and the kind of a paradigm in which user are going to use this application, we decide what kind of a gamification level we can apply.
Okay. And the last question for you, Amit, is how do you see future of UX design from gamification perspective?
There is a paradigm shift from what we used to call user-centered design to more of a game-centered design, where we now consider. We used to consider earlier. We used to consider efficiency, effectiveness, satisfaction. These were like criteria we used to consider for user-centered design. But now there is a paradigm shift where there is another angle or there is another layer on top of it, which is a more of a motivation and engagement. So we are also considering the motivation and engagement factor in whatever we design. So this is another layer. So now the things are changing from, as I said, user-centered design to more of a game-centered design. So that is a kind of consideration we should take care while designing any app which we come across.
Amit, again, thank you so much for your time. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Please keep an eye out for more webinars that we will be hosting soon. We also invite you to watch the recorded webinars we have posted on talks.incora.com. Thank you again and see you in another occasion. Bye bye.
Thank you.